Tonight, controversy from the campaign trail has resurfaced. The full unedited version of the 60 Minutes interview with former Vice President Kamala Harris has been released from the Federal Communications Commission, or the FCC. The interview became the centerpiece of a $10 billion lawsuit brought against the network by Donald Trump, accusing the program of editing Harris's answers to shed her in a favorable light. But today, the president reacted to the unedited video on Truth Social, claiming that 60 Minutes defrauded the public by removing what he called the vice president's election-changing answers, and said CBS should lose its broadcasting license. CBS is defending their actions today, saying in part, in reporting the news, journalists regularly edit interviews for time, space, or clarity. In making these edits, 60 Minutes is always guided by the truth and what we believe will be most informative to the viewing public. So we want to take a look at what this controversy is all about. So we're going to show you a few different clips here so you can see what this lawsuit is about and these allegations. So the first clip is actually a promo piece that was played on CBS's Face the Nation just a day before the 60 Minutes interview. So that's the promo piece. The second part you're going to see is actually what was played in that 60 Minutes interview. And then the final piece that you're going to see is actually the unedited version. And these are all former Vice President Kamala Harris's response to Bill Whitaker asking her about Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel. Take a listen.
Does the U.S. have no sway over Prime Minister Netanyahu?
The aid that we have given Israel allowed Israel to defend itself against 200 ballistic missiles that were just meant to attack the Israelis and the people of Israel.
Does the U.S. have no sway over Prime Minister Netanyahu?
The work that we do diplomatically with the leadership of Israel is an ongoing pursuit around making clear our principles.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We are not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
Does the U.S. have no sway over Prime Minister Netanyahu?
Well, let's start with this. On this subject, the aid that we have given Israel allowed Israel to defend itself against 200 ballistic missiles that were just meant to attack the Israelis and the people of Israel. And I think that is the most recent example of why what we do to assist in their defense around military aid is important.
I now want to bring in former Kansas State Representative Raj Goyle, and I also want to bring in Executive Director at the Daily Signal, Robert Bluey. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. All right, this has gotten a lot of speculation. Robert, I'm going to start with you. We have FCC Chair Brendan Carr out saying that this is confusing and concerning, the actions that CBS took here for 60 Minutes. But as you heard there, 60 Minutes saying this is normal for us to edit different things, and this is not outside the practice of journalism. Your response?
Lyndsay, we live in an age of authenticity. So at the same time that Kamala Harris was sitting for a highly produced and highly edited video interview with 60 Minutes, Donald Trump was having a 3-hour conversation with Joe Rogan. So I'm not surprised that the American people were skeptical when they saw the discrepancy in the promo and what aired on 60 Minutes. And I'm glad and thankful that Brendan Carr and the FCC are finally getting to the bottom of what happened here. I don't believe CBS in this case. I think that CBS did its part to try to make Kamala Harris look good. Let's face it, she was the most inarticulate presidential candidate of our lifetime. She could not answer that question in an articulate way, and I think that they probably edited it to make sure that she looked good. And finally, I just think that this is an issue that goes back to what is troubling so many news organizations, and that is the lack of public trust. CBS did itself no favors and did the broader media no favors by keeping this hidden.
So, Raj, You know, now that we have Brendan Carr out, he has put this for public to respond to this. But you have another FCC commissioner, Ana Gomez, out saying that the FCC should not move to dismiss this fishing expedition to avoid further, should move to dismiss this fishing expedition to avoid further politicization and enforcement actions. You know, pretty much she's saying that Donald Trump and others are making a mountain out of a molehill, and this really should just be dismissed altogether.
Look, Lyndsay, thanks for having me on. This is a scandal, and the scandal is that we're even talking about this. I actually have kept an open mind. I'm very happy to be critical of the mainstream media when it warrants. I read the transcripts. I listened to that package. This is an absolute nothing burger. And Robert, I listened carefully to your comments. You didn't say anything of substance. You just criticized Kamala Harris because that's, I know you like to do that. If you can call her inarticulate, that's fine. She lost the election. But let's step back, if we can, Lyndsay, and think about the fact that we're taking precious media time to talk about this nothing burger of an issue. And the real scandal here is that, well, we know what's happening is that they are using this as a political cudgel because there is a big tie-up, a merger with Paramount and Skydance that's happening. And Donald Trump's using this, his lawsuit against CBS, as a weapon. And this is exactly what we saw what happened when ABC settled with Donald Trump. So you talk about the weaponization of telecommunication policy and government. That's the scandal here. We have Donald Trump talking about putting a casino in Gaza, displacing 2.5 million people. We've got Lex Luthor, Elon Musk, and his merry band of dorks running around spying on Americans. One of them today, by the way, disclosed to be an avowed racist, who said that he didn't think people should marry outside their race. He had to resign today, thankfully. The courts are now deluged with cases of the extra-legal behavior of Elon Musk. We've got tariffs against China that are causing real people to have their bills go. No, let me finish,
Raj,
please. You asked the question.
We can talk about all those things.
And this is not a story. But and now we are wasting
well, it is a story, and we're covering it.
And the question is why.
But Raj, you know why this is a story? It's a story because the American people have lost trust in the media. That's why this is a story.
Why don't? Oh, and they will continue to lose trust in the media by covering this fluff. What the real story is, Donald Trump is president. He was duly elected. Kamala Harris lost the election. I have been not shy at all talking about the Democrats. We got our clocks clean. We Democrats have to step back and think about it. But let's not invent issues where there are none. Read the transcripts. I have read the transcripts of the unedited. Nothing of any import was left on the cutting room floor. The show is not called 4 hours. It's called 60 Minutes. I went on Dr. Phil's show kindly in September. He didn't air everything I said. It was edited. You edit, they edit. There is no story here. Let's talk about some real issues. And that's why the American people would trust the media if we covered real issues instead of this nonsense.
Lyndsay, if I could just jump in and
what we are doing here is showing our viewers everything. So, Robert, I'm going to let you jump in here. But that is why we should have this discussion, is transparency. Robert, go ahead here.
Absolutely. I think that you're spot on, Lyndsay. The fact that the public, American public, has lost faith and trust in the news media is exactly the story. If CBS had just released the transcript and the video after this was aired in the fall when Americans were expecting to have more answers, maybe it would have actually benefited Kamala Harris. To Raj's point, why they kept it hidden is beyond me. CBS has a history of doing this. CBS 20 years ago tried to take out George W. Bush in his re-election campaign by using fake documents on that same 60-minute show. Dan Rather lost his job. This is a persistent problem at that network.
Okay. Raj, Robert, appreciate your time. Thank you for talking about this. And, you know, our position here at Merit Street Media is to expose things that the American people are talking about. And that's why we want to have transparency and having the conversation that other Americans are having so you can see it here for yourself. All right. We'll be right back.